The module is of paper 3, Economic and Financial Administration. Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor Ajmer Singh Malik, Department of Public Administration, Kurukshetra University, Kurukshetra. Today, we will deliberate on an important topic of financial administration, that is budget preparation and its execution. The deliberation or the talk is organized, or you can say will be organized on 3 points. The first, on the preparation of budget. The second, that is the execution of budget, and there will be a detailed discussion on the 3 types. There will be a detailed discussion on these 2 points. Budget in India, also called as annual financial statement, that is Article 112 in case of Union government and Article 202 in case of state government. India does not have one budget for the whole country, rather it has number of budgets. The union and state governments have their own budgets. Besides, there was a separate budget for railway from 1924 to 2017, rather we say 2016, because railway budget is merged with general budget from the year 2017. The demand in budget in India are presented in 2 categories, which are demands which are charged on Consolidated Fund of India and are non-votable. It may be for certain constitutional authority which requires an independence, which are considered to be watchdog on in a democratic state like we in India, like Union Public Service Commission, like judiciary, etc. There are other demands which are to be voted, means which are not charged, those are to be voted. Further, besides the Consolidated Fund of India under Article 266, in which all income of the government of India is deposited, there is a Consolidated Fund of State also, that is also under Article 266. And there is another fund which is known as the Contingency Fund. It has been established under Article 267. In Contingency Fund, money is provided from different sources and placed under the President for unforeseen expenditure, pending Parliament approval. Means if there is such situation where approval from the competent authority, that is the Parliament, cannot be taken in time, or there are unforeseen situations, or there are certain emergency, in such a circumstances, funds can be allocated from the Contingency Fund of India and subject to the approval of the Parliament, which is taken later on. As I already stated, every state has also a consolidated fund and contingency fund like the Union government. The Finance Ministry has been entrusted with the overall responsibility to prepare budget and provide required leadership and direction for the purpose of budget activities. These are in real sense the agencies which are associated, or these are the things which are associated with the budgetary process, and that's why I am introducing all these things. Thereafter, there are certain other organs which are involved in the preparation of budget. Let's have a look on the fiscal management machinery in the government of India. The process of fiscal management is a continuous chain of operation and performed by the following agencies. Number 1, operating agencies. Number 2, the Department of Economic Affairs in Finance Ministry. Number 3, Executive Ministry. Executive comprises of Finance Ministry and the Cabinet for financial policy of the government. Means the Finance Ministry and the Cabinet provides necessary approval for the new schemes as well as for the budget. The fourth agency is the Parliament. Earlier, Planning Commission also used to play an important role in the formulation of budget or in the preparation of the budget. But now Planning Commission is not there, and the department itself has taken the role of the Planning Commission, particularly with reference to the budget preparation. According to the democratic principle, no tax can be levied or collected, or no expenditure can be incurred by the government except with the previous consent of the government. Means the parliament has overriding role or dominating role in preparing a budget in the country. Particularly, we are talking about with reference to in context with India. There is another agency which we call Comptroller and Auditor General. It is a constitutional body and it is an external watchdog and a constitutional agency to exercise external control over expenditure and audits the government accounts. We will study about the Comptroller and Auditor General in a separate lecture. We will discuss all those things in a separate lecture, but we will also refer some of the things relating to the Comptroller of Auditor General, or you can say how it is relating to the budgetary process. The budgetary process, now let's discuss about the budgetary process. The budgetary process involves 4 different operations. Which are those operations? Number 1, the preparation of budget. Number 2, enactment of budget. Number 3, the execution of budget. Number 4, the legislative control of public finance. In this lecture, as the title of the discussion or the talk indicates, that we will discuss the first and third operation of the budgetary process, and remaining 2 will be discussed in the separate set of lectures. How budget is prepared in India? The budget preparation in India involves 5 operations, and that is also in the sequentially order I am going to present to you. First of all, there is a preparations of the preliminary estimates by the disbursing officer. We can also call it the head of office, or as I stated earlier, operating agencies. Number 2, number 2 in the sequence is the scrutiny and review of these estimates by the controlling officers. Number 3, scrutiny and review of the revised estimates by the Accountant General and Administrative Department. Number 4, scrutiny and review of these revised estimates by the Finance Ministry. And number 5, the final consideration of the consolidated estimates by the Cabinet. These are the 5 operations of the budget preparations, of the process of the budget preparations. First of all, let's take preparation by the disbursing officer, which is the which initiate the budgeting. The budget preparation process begins normally in the month of August and September, around 8 months in advance, and all the drawing and disbursing officers and the relevant stakeholders were asked to send their through their administrative department are asked to send certain information. Means a circular is issued to them in the form of a form to the drawing and disbursing officer, and they initiate the exercise for the preparation of budget. I am repeating this aspect, that the disbursing and that is the drawing and disbursing officers are asked to submit certain information, which we will discuss now, and in the month of August or September, and that is also in certain format which is supplied to them for that purpose. The Ministry of Finance dispatches these proper formas required for the preparation of budget to all the operating agencies or all the drawing and disbursing officer through their administrative machineries. Thereafter, these performance supplied for the information that they require certain information. What is that information? Number 1, the actual figure of the previous 3 years. Actual budget figures of the previous 3 years is to be supplied. Number 2, the sanctioned budget estimates for the current year is to be supplied. Number 3, revised estimates of the current years is to be supplied. Revised estimate of the current years are to be supplied. Number 4, budget estimates of the next year with explanatory notes for increase or decrease in estimates is to be supplied. And number 5, actual of the current available at the time of the preparations of the estimates and actual for the corresponding period of the previous year were also supplied. I am repeating this, the 5th one. Actual of the current available at the time of preparation of the estimates and actual of for the corresponding period of the previous year are also supplied in this pro forma. That's there is a space for providing that information in that pro forma supplied by the Finance Ministry. The estimates are prepared by the head of office in 3 parts, namely Part 1, Part 2A and Part 2B. Part 1 is relating to the revenue and standing charges. Part 2A is related to existing item liable to fluctuating expenditure and requiring scrutiny. Part 2B, new objects / new schemes requiring previous sanctions. Means Part 2B means anything which is new for the first time, that require previous sanction, that is also supplied, or that is a separate, we can say that is having a separate place for supplying that information in the pro forma. The purpose of collecting all this data is to ensure the accuracy and reliability of budget, because the reliability of the budget and accuracy of the budget, that will depend on this kind of the information. And all the estimates sent by the drawing and dispersing officer within a department are consolidated. These estimates are examined in the light of the policy of the department. Means what the department intends to do during the financial year for which the budget is to be prepared, that is an important issue. A careful analysis thereafter, a careful analysis at the department level can make the estimate really useful by ensuring that the estimates are prepared so as to achieve the goals of the department and their achievement. In a simple sense, when the estimates of the drawing and dispersing officer or information sent by the drawing and dispersing officer is consolidated at the departmental level, at that level the concerned officers, they scrutinize the information or the supplied by the drawing and dispersing officer so as to attain the realistic provision for attaining or for achieving the goals of the department. That's an important one. Means that all the information and understanding of the officers working in the organization, that is pulled together, that is discussed and deliberated, and only thereafter the budget estimates for the new and old is prepared, and that will provide a realistic base for the budget preparation. The department can ensure the use of money in the priority areas. In other words, we can say what are the priorities of the department for achieving the goals or the objective of the department, that is also taken into consideration while preparing the estimates of the department. There is a need to conduct the review of the ongoing schemes and programs in such a way that outdated, redundant and low priority schemes and programs are weeded out and the funds may be diverted from low priority to high priority schemes. Means what are our priorities, to which kind of activities need not to be undertaken the next year, which we can weed out. All these things means keeping in view the needs, keeping in view the objectives, keeping in view the course of action to be taken in the next financial year, that is given due weightage to arrive at realistic budget estimates at the departmental level. The administrative department and the concerned officer in the Ministry of Finance may carry out this pre-budget scrutiny to ensure optimization of financial resources. In other words, we can say that the help of the Finance Ministry is also taken in arriving at such kinds of estimates at the departmental level. Not only that one, Finance Ministry normally consult while scrutinizing these kinds of the estimates sent by the department. Therefore, it may be good if the department itself consult the finance ministry before preparing those estimates. Normally, there are certain normally departments undertake certain precautions while preparing the estimates at the disbursing officer level. What are those precautions? Number one, we can say lump sum provision for a scheme are normally avoided. It cannot be given like that. Number two, the money to be spent in the financial year only needs to be included and not the total amount of the scheme. Sometimes what happens, the scheme may keep continue for years, and in such a circumstances it is not necessary that whole of the amount may be taken in in the budget of 1 year. Therefore, it should be annual. It should be on annual basis. Estimates should be on annual basis for this scheme. Third precaution is that for purely new schemes, no money should be allocated until and unless all the preliminaries, administrative approval, selection of sites, etc. have been approved. Means the demand for the new schemes should be taken only after getting all clearances or all approvals required to launch the new scheme. After preparation of these estimates, normally there is a factual verification by Comptroller and Auditor General. As I stated earlier in my talk, that Comptroller and Auditor General is also one of the agency which is associated with the budget preparation. And how it is associated, we are discussing it now. Normally what happened, the estimate submitted by the Comptroller and Auditor General by every administrative department also reach the Ministry of Finance with their comments about the accuracy of the various facts included in the estimates. In other words, we can say when administrative departments send estimates for the budget to the Finance Ministry, those kind of the estimates are also available with the Comptroller and Auditor General, and that's why those are cross-checked. It is in the interest of the prior propriety as well as it is in the interest of to arrive at realistic administration. The Comptroller and Auditor General is in real sense the repository of all financial information, and these comments are considered necessary, and that's why this is the role of the Comptroller and Auditor General. After taking or after verifying from the Comptroller and Auditor General, normally there is a consolidation and analysis by the Ministry of Finance. Means the budget division in the Ministry of Finance that examines the estimates from financial angle. Again, I am repeating, the process comprises of first drawing and disbursing officer prepares the estimates, then these are consolidated at the department level or administrative department or ministry level. Then thereafter, those are verified by the Comptroller and Auditor General. Then these are sent to the Finance Ministry, and Budget Division of the Finance Ministry scrutinize it from the financial angle. The Ministry of Finance has limited funds and thus has to ensure that the various administrative departments remain within their limits. Means that in another way we can say considered the Finance Ministry restrict the overspending of the administrative departments, or the demands are restricted by the Finance Ministry, because it is the Finance Ministry which has to raise the resources, financial resources for the disbursement to the departments for their various activities. And the main aim of the Finance Ministry is to ensure economy and to avoid duplication of efforts. The ministry raises many queries, especially about the new expenditure, to ensure and establish its worthwhileness. Means whether it is really required for that particular purpose or to achieve the goals of the department, that is to be ascertained, and keeping in view the demand is made by the administrative department. The Finance Ministry in this in this job is guided by the expert advice of the Planning Commission. Now Planning Commission is not there, and therefore the policy decision of the cabinet, those becomes those are considered the guiding principle for the finance ministry. There are certain we can say what are the contents of the expenditure in the budget. The budget estimates prepared by the administrative ministries, generally they have the three parts, as we discussed it earlier also. Those may be termed as the standing charges, those may be continuing schemes, and those may be new schemes. Then normally standing charge are the what are the standing charge? The departmental estimates in respect pay, allowances, honorarium of permanent establishments, office, contingency, etc. are sent to the budget division directly by the administrative ministries for scrutiny and examination. Means these are the standing charges, and that's why those although they require scrutiny, but that may not require much more consultation for the purpose as it is in the other cases. In case of the continuing scheme, that is the second category of expenditures, these are scrutinized in the Department of Expenditure regarding the progress achieved and likely to be achieved during the budget period. In other words, we can say that the schemes which are going on, that is to be scrutinized whether the desirable level of outcome is there or not. If it is not, why it is not, whether we should increase the spending or we should not, or whether we should be watchful or not. This has to be undertaken in case of the scheme, in case of this continuing scheme, and therefore the consultation or interactions between the administrative ministries or administrative departments and the finance ministry is always there. Then the third kinds of the schemes, third kinds of the category of expenditures are in the new schemes. The new schemes are scrutinized in detail, and such slight questions are raised regarding their utility and impact. These are first examined by financial advisor within the administrative ministries. Here again, I would like to tell you that there is a integrated financial advisor schemes, and one of the nominee from the finance ministry that is there in all administrative departments or the administrative machineries to guide on financial matters, and that's why first of all, in case of new scheme, that new schemes, it is the financial advisors present as a nominee of the finance ministry in the administrative machinery. Those proposal of those new schemes are scrutinized by that financial advisor. They are then also examined by the planning commission. Now planning commissions are not there. There may be certain committees, there may be certain expert agencies which look after this job. Some new schemes are already evaluated and approved by the Ministry of Finance, and while others have not been examined but are urgent and require immediate execution. Maybe that depends upon the scheme. If it is an urgent one, then it may be scrutinized or it may be the scrutiny of that may be expedited. If it is not, then in that circumstances it may take the normal course of action or normal course of scrutiny. But that depends upon the decision of the cabinet, and whatever the cabinet decide, that is accepted by all. Normally, when there is when we are scrutinizing the new scheme, or in that circumstances, the execution of new schemes should not be in hurry, or it should be avoided. The inclusion of new schemes without examination is not a sound budgeting. Therefore, again, as I already stated, it should be avoided. However, we may mention that, it may be important to state here that the examination carried out by the Ministry of Finance is so detailed that it saps the energy of the administrative department. Means it is a very rigorous process. and it is very difficult by the administrative machinery to get new schemes sanctioned. Sometimes it is sometimes we criticize that it is a negative trend or negative attitude of the finance ministry towards the administrative department, and that is killing the initiative of the administrative machinery. This may be, but it is essential for ensuring realistic budgeting and to keep control on the wastage of funds available with the government. The Ministry of Finance should also restrict its control. The Ministry of Finance is advised to restrict its control merely to the financial angles and leave the details of the expenditure control to the administrative ministry. But in real sense, it is not happening, and that's why Ministry of Finance is criticized. And normally, when there is a new scheme, then we say when there is a negative attitude or the finance ministry is not going to approve it directly or not accepting the proposal made by the administrative machinery, and if there is a difference of opinion on any issue relating to the new scheme, upon the inclusion of new scheme in the present budget, or the budget estimates there are certain there is a difference on the budget estimates for the new scheme, then the administrative department or the administrative machinery can send such estimate to the cabinet, and the decision of the cabinet is final, because that is the final authority to take the administrative decision. Normally, whatever is the proposal or the estimates consolidated at the by the finance ministry, those total estimates of the departments need to have the approval of the cabinet before it is submitted to the parliament with the estimates of the revenue. The estimate of revenue are undertaken by the Ministry of Finance, naturally in consultation with the Central Board of Direct Taxes and Central Board of Indirect Taxes. Besides this, the finance minister consults the economist, industrialists, academicians, and other experts in the area. A forecast is made of the expected revenues for the coming financial year. The following points need to be kept in mind for carrying out receipt estimates. First of all, the receipt estimates should take into account only such receipts and payments as the head of department expects these to be actually realized or made during the financial year. Second, the receipt estimate should be based upon the information on this information. Finance minister prepares the finance bill, which is highly confidential document and is made upon only on the floor of the house at the time of the presentation of the budget. The execution of budget. First, let's take the expenditure part. The Ministry of Finance plays an important role in the execution of the budget. After the enactment of the budget, which is a political process, and that will be discussed in a separate lecture, that enactment of the budget, the Ministry of Finance communicates the budget to the administrative ministry, who in turn communicate it to the drawing and disbursing officer through their controlling officers. Drawing and disbursing officers start operating amounts allotted to them. Whatever amount is allotted for various kind of the activities which they prepared, and that is allocated to them, and that is through the drawing and disbursing officers start operating amounts allocated to them through treasury, pay and accounts officer. The treasury officers or the officers of the pay and accounts offices pass the bills according to the legislative sanctions. Treasury or the pay and accounts officer, whosoever they are, communicate the accounts daily to the accountant general and through the integrated financial advisor to ensure double control. Means there is a control of the treasury and pay and accounts officer, and there is a control of the integrated financial advisors. Then what kind of the controls are there on the execution of the budget, particularly by the finance ministry? These are, I'm just listing those methods or the ways of finance ministry control. First of all, approval of policies and programs in principles. Thereafter, the administrative departments should also accept the provision of the budget estimates. Number three is the sanctioning expenditure subject to the powers which are delegated to the spending authorities. Financial advice, again integrated financial advisor system, that is there. Then number 5 is reappropriation of grant is also allowed. There is a system of internal audit also. Then number 7 or the 7th step is prescribing a financial code to be followed by the spending authority. The composition of the machinery devised by the executive government for discharging this kind of responsibilities, that is to keep control over the spending authority, that there is number 1 a system of controlling officer, number 2 a system of competent authority who issue financial sanction, number 3 a system of drawing and dispersing officer, and number 4 is a system of payments and accounts, that how the payments will be made and how the accounts will be maintained. These are some of the things which are important. What is reappropriation? Normally we call it an executive act, and it requires the formal the reappropriation requires a formal approval of the finance ministry, to which powers may be delegated. Reappropriation is permissible within the same grant only, and is not permissible in following cases. What are those cases? As if a grant is voted and charged item of the expenditures. Second, it cannot be the reappropriation may not be granted to meet the expenditure on a new service not provided for in the budget. Not only this one, the third thing is another example, that any expenditure which is not voted by the parliament or any other competent authority, in other words we can say which is not sanctioned by Lok Sabha particularly and not by any competent authority, that cannot be reappropriated. In the revenue part, execution of revenue part of the budget involves the collection, custody, distribution of funds, and to make the machinery of government move. Number 4, we can say the realization of amount due from various assesses is collection, that is realization of amount due from various assesses that needs to be taken into consideration, and following up and realizations of arrears, that is dealing with the defaulters, that should be a part of it. Means there are 5 kinds of the conditions or five issues which are important while discussing or while executing the revenue part of the budget. Lastly, in conclusion, we can say Comptroller and Auditor General no doubt provides accounting skill. Those are required for the formulation of budget. The budget is not only create the culture of economic growth, and the success of the government is largely perceived how it formulates the budget and how it executes it. Therefore, it is essential that while preparing the budget, we must take into account the system of accounting and the system of preparing the realistic budget estimates that will help in improving the economy of the country, as well as that will provide the good governance and better perceptions of the government of the day. Thank you very much.